right, welcome to the Natobas Charter School Board of Directors meeting for June 9th of 2025. I will call us to order at 5:30. Roll call. Dr. Gaffney.
Here.
Justin Garrett.
Justin will not be here today.
Rita. Here. Mr. King.
Here.
Gina.
Here.
Arsenio.
Here.
Dr. Mayorado. Here. Preeti.
I'm not sure, she might just be running late.
Okay. Jennifer, I'm very much here. John, no John Amir. We have someone.
No John Amir today.
Nobody. Okay. Marley.
Here.
Catherine.
Here.
Raven.
Here.
Ksenia.
Here.
Okay, great. First on the agenda, recognitions and celebrations.
So we get to start off this evening by recognizing our student board representative. That's why we have everyone here. So Jennifer, would you like to come up? So first, we just want to say thank you to all of you guys. Believe it or not, I think you are the highlight of every board meeting because we get to hear from the voices of students. And some of you come to this meeting so prepared that it's a role model for both the adults and the other students. So on behalf of the board, we do have a couple of little thank you gifts for you. So when I call you up, if you can come up, and then I think we're gonna do a picture, right? Is Carolyn?
Oh, okay.
Carolyn, you're gonna be our photographer.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So Raven, where did Raven go? Oh, there, right there. Raven, come on up. Come on up. Thank you, Raven. Let's go here.
Oh.
There you go. Back here. And then we'll have Miss Hines right there. We'll take a picture.
1, 2, 3. Perfect.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Raven. All right. And then next we have from Star Academy, and I should mention Raven from Hack. Ksenia, come on up. Ksenia's been our newest member. Thank you so much, Ksenia. We really appreciate it.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. All right.
Ksenia, where school are you going to next year?
PFA.
PFA. Hey, awesome. You'll be right here on this campus. Okay, so while we're on the Star Academy group, why don't we have Vienne come up? Yay! Thank you very much. Vienne, where are you going to go to middle school next year?
Churchill.
Awesome.
1, 2, 3. All right.
Yay. All right, and next we have Jordan. Come on up. Yay. Thank you, Jordan. And Jordan, where will you be next year? At Leading Edge. Awesome. We'll see you here. Thank you. Okay, and next we have from Leading Edge, we have Marley. Marley, come on up. And Marley, where will you be next year? Inderkum. All right, so you're going to come back and visit though, right?
Of course.
Okay, okay, good. All right.
Here. 1, 2, 3. All right.
Yay, thank you. And then John Amir is not here this evening, but obviously we love having John Amir with Early College Academy. And then Zach is actually on his way to Turkey to visit family. So we actually already gave him his little award as well. But tonight we do have Catherine Lee joining us in Zach's place. And Catherine will actually be our board representative next school year for PFA. So thank you guys very, very much. We really appreciate having you as part of the meeting and coming and joining us and sharing with us what's going on in each of our academies. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
And then
Now, sorry,
Oh, yeah.
Ms. Hone, do they get to go after they have to stay for the whole thing?
No, they just have to do their board reports. We got one more
I meant
celebration
after closed session.
before
No,
closed
so
session.
they'll do their regular thing and leave when you guys leave for close.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we have one more celebration before we go to closed session.
Yes.
And I'm gonna have Mr. Love come on up.
Do I have to stay or go?
Yeah, stay. You might.
You're gonna shake hands.
So we wanted to celebrate something very special. So annually for the past 37 years, the Sacramento chapters of the Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity and the Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority have recognized 2 African-American 8th grade students at each middle school who demonstrate strong academic skills, athletics, and community service. These awards are named after Frank Withrow, who was a Sacramento area teacher and school administrator. And it's a Sacramento area deal. So there's a bunch of students who won this award throughout Sacramento. For the past 5 years, we've nominated 2 students from each of our academies. And this year, the Frank Withrow Awards Committee has asked that each school/district board also formally recognize and celebrate the accomplishments of these students at a public board meeting, which is awesome. Our students received these awards in late April, and we are formally celebrating them today at this meeting. So I'm going to call all four out. I believe only one of them is with us today, but I'm going to call all of them out. And if your name is called, please come to the front. So the four students that were nominated from Natomas Charter School were Khalil Coleman, Renee Thomas, Kennedy Davis, Erin Crawford is second. We want to recognize, do you want to go ahead and take a photo?
Congratulations. All right, I want Miss Hines to be our photographer.
One, two, three.
Congratulations. All right, let me make sure the certificates get to the others. Thank you.
All right. Student information updates. Let's start with ECCA. Do we have one? Who's going to read ECA?
We do have an update.
I can read it.
Sure.
All right, so since John Amir's not here, I will read our ECA update. So on May 16th, the ECA seniors hosted the Senior Projects during Senior Showcase. On the 21st, ECA staff hosted the Senior Banquet and Senior Awards. The 23rd, there was no school because of Staff Development Day, and on the 26th, we celebrated Memorial Day. May 27th was the beginning of Review Week, which was also the same week that we had the Spring Awards, and the seniors participated in the Senior Walk, where they went over to Star Academy. On the 30th, the leadership hosted the annual Tournament of Nights, which was moved indoors because it was a little warm, but it was still lots of fun. And then the 2nd through the 5th was final exams, and on Friday night, the senior class at ECA celebrated all of their accomplishments with their graduation at Memorial Auditorium.
Harley.
So unfortunately today will be the last time you guys hear from me, but how you guys doing this evening?
Good.
So to start off, I'd like to say thank you guys so much for this opportunity. It's helped me with my speaking skills immaculately. I can't wait to carry these skills into my high school years and be able to talk publicly without stuttering, saying or things like. So going into my leading edge updates, we have our Spirit Week, which was May 27th through the 30th. Tuesday, elementary era, dress like a toddler. Wednesday, future era, write your future goals on a white t-shirt or write a t-shirt that has your future goals that have it on. Thursday, throwback era, which was just from the 80s or 90s. And Friday was our grade colors. 6th were white, 7th were red, and 8th were black. We did our switcheroo, which we did in the gym, where the 6th graders got to go to the top left of the bleachers and the 7th graders got to go to the top right, and we stepped off. End of the year field trips, which was on June 5th. 6th grade went to Scandia, 7th grade went to Sunsplash, and 8th graders went to Six Flags. Six Flags was great. I don't like the Kong ride. It's not good at all. After school promotion practice was on June 3rd. Finals was May 30th through June 3rd. We then had our yearbook sales close. Luckily, they were sold out, and I copped one, so I'm happy. We had our 8th grade promotion on June 6th. BSU middle school and high school graduation was on June 2nd. Natomas annual blood drive with Vitalant was Thursday, May 22nd. 8th grader STEM CAST testing was May 21st. Honor students presented in their homerooms on May 19th to secure their spot of getting honors and portfolio. Upcoming summertime and academics, last tutoring session, and all class finals. Thank you guys.
Okay, Catherine.
Hello, my name is Catherine Lee. I will be here in place of Zach Lopchu, as you heard earlier. I will be the PFA rep, and he would like to relay a message to you guys. Dear Natomas Charter School Board, I apologize about my absence today, but I wanted to thank you for everything you all do for our school and for this amazing opportunity to represent one of the academies. I hope you all have a great summer. All right, on to the updates. On May 26th, we took a day off to commemorate Memorial Day, and on May 28th, we had a packed schedule with senior breakfast, where the juniors got to celebrate and honor the seniors who have done so much for them and mentored them throughout the school years. And right after that, the seniors got to reminisce on their elementary school days at Star Academy. And they got to have a senior walk there. And right after that, 8th grade had their end of the year field trip to Six Flags, which sounded really fun. And on the same day, we had yearbook distribution, so we got to get our signatures from our friends and teachers, and high school awards night happened that exact same night. Wow, that's a lot. And on May 29th, we had our middle school awards night, and as well as our Black Rock Wellness Walkthrough, where there were therapy dogs that visited, and there were wellness stations that we could visit, so that was fun during lunch. And May 30th to June 4th was finals week, which is, yeah. And on June 2nd, BSU, the club, got their graduation celebration. And June 4th, we had Day on the Green, which was basically a celebration after finals where we could, we had like these inflatable like bouncy houses, watered slides. It was lots of fun. And junior crowning also happened then. So that made me cry. So, but June 5th, we had our 8th grade promotion where we got to celebrate the 8th graders. They got to walk across the amphitheater stage to like celebrate how they grew through middle school. And on June 6th, we had our senior graduation where they walked the stage of the historic Memorial Auditorium, and they got honored for their entire journey throughout school. And on June 10th and 11th, which is the only thing that comes after this, we have our college application boot camp workshops, which I am excited to attend. And thank you. That will be all.
Okay, I think it's Raven next, yes.
Good afternoon, my name is Raven Young and I'm the student representative of Pact Academy. As we wrap up this exciting year, I would like to share our past spring events. We kicked things off on May 13th when parents gathered for a coffee talk. They discussed the topic, extended learning while building strong connections between home and school. That same day, Pact students attended a special field trip to PFA's spring dance performance. On May 14th, our middle school students had a tropical party-themed social. Students from 5th through 8th grade came together for food, karaoke, dancing, and games. Then, on May 16th, our students examined art at the Crocker Museum Art Access Program during a field trip to the Crocker Art Museum. On May 22nd, our intermediate drama class took the stage to perform Macbeth. I participated in the play as Lady Macbeth, and it was a blast performing on stage. That same evening, Pact welcomed families to our annual open house, where students' work was displayed and classrooms were open for exploration. On May 27th, families gathered once again at the Benveniti Theater for Pact's annual recital. It was a beautiful evening filled with dancing and musical performances that our students have been rehearsing throughout the year. May 28th, Pact 8th graders presented their Keystone projects. From May 28th to June 4th, Pact held a curriculum fair where parents had the opportunity to pick new curriculum for the upcoming year. May 29th, students traveled to Angel Island for an immersive and educational field trip. June 2nd, we treated our graduating 8th graders to a fun and delicious pancake breakfast. I'm gonna be looking forward to that in 8th grade. Celebration continued with their official promotion ceremony on June 3rd, held at the Benvenuti Performing Arts Theater. Just before the school year wrapped up on June 5th, students visited Raley's, where they discovered fun activities about the store and learned in an interactive real-world environment. And finally, June 6th marks our last day of school. Thank you for this opportunity and have a wonderful summer.
Okay, Star Academy, Ksenia, Jordan, and Thea. And Stephanie. All three.
Hello, Natomas Charter Board members. My name is Ksenia Patricia.
My name is Bien Bish.
And my name is Jordan Mister. We are the 2024-2025 student representatives for Star Academy, and we are excited to share this last board meeting of Star Academy.
First up, Star Academy held a garden dedication ceremony for teachers and staff on May 14th. The garden was renamed Francisco Ortega Memorial Garden, and the dedication ceremony was held to share memories of Mr. Francisco and his work at Star Academy. Mr. Francisco's family attended the ceremony and were there to help cut the ribbon to the garden.
We also had the Star Academy Talent Show on May 15th. The students performed for the whole school in the morning and for the parents in the evening. We had singing, dancing, comedy, and even a performance of the Backstreet Boys song, I Want It That Way. Next, we had Dance with the Grown-Ups on May 21st. This event was hosted by the Nova's Parents Group. Students were able to bring their family member to share a sweet treat, and there were even donut hats to wear.
Another important event we had was the Star Academy Open House on May 22nd. Lots of students and families showed up to see our rainforest art display in the gym, listen to Spanish performances with Senora Kwan, and visit their classrooms to see the great learning they've been doing this year. Younger students had the chance to visit teachers in the next grade level.
Then we had the Kona Ice Truck visit. Star Academy. On May 27th, 5th grade students won the Jive Month Challenge, and as a result, we won a Kona Ice Party. The students enjoyed the Kona Ice treat during their afternoon recess. Another event was a 4th grade plays held at the end of May. Each year, 4th grade students perform plays that highlight their learning in the classroom. These plays highlight the California Gold Rush, the history of California, and the science of electricity. Last year, we were all a part of these plays, and it was great to see the 4th graders perform.
A group of 5th graders performed a very special musical this year. At the end of May, written by MAPA teacher, Mr. Faster. This musical included songs from the 1980s, and student volunteers learned their parts during lunch/recess time this spring. The play was a great success and enjoyed by all.
On May 28th, Star Academy hosted the PFAA and ECA Senior Walk. This walk has become a tradition at Natomas Charter School, and Star students were very excited to celebrate the seniors, and also had them visit their classrooms. 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders had the chance to ask some questions about the high school and their plans after graduation. Some seniors were students at Star Academy and shared their personal experiences. On June 2nd, 5th graders hosted the 50 States Road Trip for the whole school in the gym. 5th graders researched a U.S. state and then had posters on display and shared facts about their state. This is the 2nd year for this project at Star Academy, and we are happy to share our learning with the whole school.
On June 3rd, kindergarten students held their end of the year performance for staff and parents in the gym. Students sang songs in Spanish that they learned with Senora Kwan, and also songs they learned with their teachers, including songs about bugs and a song that used sign language. At the end of the performance, families went back to the classroom to celebrate the end of the school year.
On Wednesday, June 4th, 5th graders had the promotion ceremony in the gym at Star Academy. The promotion ceremony included teachers, a staff speaker, Mr. Ben from the skate program, a 5th grader speaker, and student musical performance. After the ceremony, A fifth grader party was held during the school day to celebrate the end of fifth grade. The gym was decorated by staff and parent volunteers in a beach theme. There was music, lots of food and snacks, as well as games. Beach balls, limbo, and dancing was a very fun way to celebrate the end of fifth grade.
June 5th was our last PBIS assembly of the school year. We had PE awards, watched a video created by 5th graders about lunch expectations, and a raffle drawings for an outdoor popsicle party with a bubble machine. Winners got to attend the party during the recess time.
June 6th was the last day of school and the last day of elementary school for us fifth graders. On the last day of school at Star Academy, we had field day, and during field day, we were outside most of the day, doing outdoor activities and games. We even got the chance to try and dunk our staff and teachers in the dunk tank. All 3 fifth grade teachers took turns in the dunk tank and get soaked. I dumped my teacher.
Finally, we wanted to announce that our Spanish teacher at Star Academy, Senora Kwan, is retiring after 10 years working at Star. We will miss her very much and hope she comes back to volunteer in her free time.
Thank you for listening to our Star Academy update.
Next year, I will be attending Winston Churchill for 6th grade.
Next year, I'll be attending PFAA for 6th grade.
Next year, I'll be attending Leading Edge.
We hope you have a wonderful evening. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for your great updates tonight and throughout the year. Enjoy your summer. Come back if you're coming back. Have fun. If you're going on to another school, great luck to all of you, and I hope you'll come back and visit. All right. Hearing of the public for items on the closed session agenda.
Nothing received of me and no one online.
Okay, at this point, I will adjourn to closed session to consider and or take action upon any of the following public employee performance evaluation pursuant to Government Code 54954.2. Administrative Representatives Dr. Joe Wood, Executive Director Evaluation and Employment, 552. Okay, I will reconvene open session at 6:59. No action taken during closed session. May I have a motion for, what, 6:59? I don't know what I said. What did I say? 6:59? It was 6:49.
49, thank you. I'd also like to state for the record that Preeti Merchant joined the meeting before we adjourned closed session.
2 minutes after the meeting started. I was like, all right. May I have a motion to approve tonight's agenda? So thank you. Thank you. Roll call vote, Arsenio?
Aye.
Gina? Yes. Rita? Yes. Jennifer, yes. Dr. Maravalo?
Yes.
Doug? Yes. Sean? Preeti? Yes. Okay. Consent items, questions, comments, anything? All right, may I have a motion to approve tonight's consent items? Thank you, Dr. Gaffney. May I have a second? I second. Thank you, Preeti. Roll call vote, Preeti. Yes. Sean?
Yes.
Dr. Gaffney?
Yes.
Dr. Maravalo? Yes. Jennifer, I'm a yes. Nita? Yes. Who's there? Gina? Arsenio?
Yes.
Okay. We're efficient tonight. The public hearing, okay, so this is a 2025-26 local control accountability plan as part of the 2024-2027 LCAP. I will open the public hearing. I'd like to open the public hearing at 6:51 PM for the 2025-26 local control and accountability plan as part of the 2024-27 LCAP.
Online. No one from the public waiting to speak. No one in the audience.
Anyone? All right, I'm gonna close the public hearing at 6:51 for the 2025-26 local control and accountability plan as part of the 2024-27 LCAP. All right, action items, Anita.
Can we have a presentation? Okay, so. We're gonna have Laura actually do the LCAP presentation.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
All it says is public hearing. I'm sorry, Laura.
I need to present to you guys another time here. Oh, this is interesting.
That's interesting.
All right, well, it is the end of the year. It is time to look at our end of year update for our LCAP. Looks like it's not presented, but we'll just kind of talk through it. And they have it in front of them as well. Perfect. Okay, next slide. So keeping in mind our accountability systems that we have here at Natomas Charter School include our LCAP, which is our local control and accountability plan. We have our strategic plan that we did a couple of years ago, as well as our WASC accreditation. And all three of those are aligned so that we are focused on the necessary goals for making student improvement. All right, so our first LCAP goal is around math. So as you remember, it is about solidifying the data-based instructional practices to make sure that we are raising math fluency and thus our CASP scores. And this aligns with our strategic plan as goal number 2. So some of the things that we had put in place is using diagnostic assessments, tutoring, data-informed practices, intervention, parent engagement. And so we did those things. So we had iReady diagnostics. We use the data and IABs, and we use that data to then plan out what should be done in class, who should go and get more intervention or more support or tutoring. Staff did PDSA cycles, so plan, do, study, act. So that's a cycle of inquiry about the student data as a part of that. We had math night, STEAM night, and math facts and fluency night. So lots of things around math in addition to our math self-study we did this year. So we had a lot of actions there, which brings us to our data, which is, so our baseline data was the 2023 data. The only official data I have to share with you is the California dashboard. If you remember way back in spring when I was sharing it with you when the dashboard came out, there were leprechauns around, it was so early in the year. Our dashboard was that we had all students yellow. Our CASP, we had 41.94% of students met or exceeded standard in math. Now, I can't put it up there, but I might have been looking at our preliminary data. It's not all in yet, but looking at that we are looking at about the same amount of students met or exceeded standard without all the scores in. So we're at least holding steady, if not, I don't know, we'll see if we move up. And then K through 8, looking at our iReady scores, we had about 76% of students who were meeting standard on iReady. So it's looking solid from where we are right now. So I'm checking every day to find out when our scores are 100% in. So we just have to wait. LCAP goal number 2 is around literacy. So building strong literacy instructional practices across the content areas to increase literacy skills and CASP skills or scores. So we're using assessments, intervention, data-informed practices, tutoring, mentoring, all of those things. We did our diagnostics. We had some tutoring going on. We had some intervention classes going on. Lots of staff PDSA cycles. We had literacy night. We also had some in ELD focused group committee, and then we had a bunch of teachers from across the different academies that were doing a book study on the writing rope. So looking at reading and writing and how that goes into the different content areas. So these were non-English teachers that were coming together with English teachers. So really, really good conversations. I got to be a part of it. It's pretty exciting. Okay. Let's see. So looking at our data, we started with our 2023 baseline. Our 2024, we were looking at from last year. Looking at where we are right now, we are at about 65%, 66% around there met or exceeded standard for English. So that is, that's pretty good. We're looking about where we were last time, maybe a little bit higher. Let's see, and then on iReady, we're at 87% of students were at standard, which is good. That's a good indicator. One thing that I'm super excited about is that looking at our English learner progress, we have 77% of kids made growth on LPAC scores. So that's lovely. That's up 38% from last year. So it's looking really good for the dashboard. We're looking hopefully blue-green on that section. So, right. Goal number 3 is school culture. So we're talking about using a strong school culture to increase school attendance. So we started positive attendance programs. We worked on our short-term independent study processes, PBIS and SEL coming in. We had some training, parent engagement. I know that Ms. Lurson has been working a lot with the principals on talking with and contacting families that their students are becoming chronically absent, doing a lot of work. And what we found is that, and I don't remember the percentage, so I don't know if you have a percentage, but like the data shows that once you have a meeting with the families and you talk about the attendance and what's going on to cause the absences, that the attendance gets better. So it is an effective process and it declines. There's just a handful of students where that didn't make a difference. So it's good work that's having an impact. So.
Do you want that percentage, Laura?
Do you have it? Oh, let's hear it.
So when we held SART meetings, the student attendance review team meetings, out of all the students that we held before, 81% of those students improved attendance. And at Star Academy it was 100%.
There you go. Thank you. That's why we're here. Team. Okay. Let's see. We had parent university attendance. We had our new SEL curriculum this year, Wayfinder, which seems to be going pretty well. All of our PBIS implementation. I know some of the kids were talking about that at in their board reports, the Star Academy assemblies, if you ever want to go to a fun assembly, the PBIS assemblies at the end of the month. So fun. All right, so looking at our data, we had our baseline data from 2023. We had our 2024 dashboard and information being blue, very low, which is good. In attendance, you want absences to be low. And then looking at 2025, we are looking at our chronic absenteeism percentage is 3.14%, which is an improvement of almost 2%. So it's working, like all the hard work is working, so. LCAP goal number 4 is around human resources. Strategic goal number 1, building strong school culture to attract and retain highly qualified staff. So we have our compensation study that we are working on. We are adding, we found this year, I believe we talked about that, it's very hard to find substitute teachers. And so as we're onboarding them, we're also, the business office has been holding HR team substitute office hours. We did a substitute training, the TOSAs did, having quarterly new staff training. The business office completed some culturally responsive hiring practices training. And so we've been working with that a lot to improve that process and make that onboarding really strong, as well as job fairs. I think the business office did a ton of job fairs this year, so. Looking at the data, and it's probably gonna be here, we have our baseline. And so all staff retention, this is actually new data, because this is something we don't have to wait for the state on. So exciting. So our all staff retention year over year is 93%. So that means 93% of our staff stayed with us and are coming back. So it's up 3% from last year. Employees over 5 years at NCS is 48%. So that's a little bit of a drop, but that's what happens when people retire. We had quite a few of those this year. I'm thinking I've been to 4 parties. And I didn't go to Senora once. Let's see. So, and then let's see, certificated staff retention, we're at 94%, which is really good. So that's up 10%. Certificated employees up over 5 years, that's our retirees, are throwing off our numbers there, but gotta let them go. And then our employee survey. So we ask our employees, you know, what do you think about the leadership opportunities and opportunities for growth? And 80% of staff said that they appreciate the leadership opportunities and things that they can do. So, so it's looking good. We are feeling like we're working through the LCAP, and we look forward to a whole nother year next year of continuing to improve upon it and add more structures and supports and continue with the ones that are showing to have data for effectiveness. Any questions?
I just have one. LCAP goal number 2, and you mentioned the 2024 dashboard info, and you mentioned the improvement with English language learners. How are the African American students doing?
I don't have that data yet because I don't have all the data in yet.
Okay. So you have
Yeah.
everything yet. Okay.
Yeah, so yeah, it takes a lot to get all that.
Yeah.
And so I'm
Maybe in the fall.
I've only tried calculating things twice, but it takes a lot of time. So once we have 100, then we'll be able to do it.
To provide some clarity to what Laura was sharing as well, as she was speaking to our LPAC scores. So we actually have 100% of our LPAC data in, so that's why we can say at least.
We have 96%.
Okay, higher number than our CAS data.
Yeah.
So we have a little bit more confidence in our LPAC results right now than our CAS results, just because we have the bulk of those.
Well, and LCAP, like you can start testing in February. And so, and you're testing the kids, so like we can get them in earlier versus CASP, it's like a whole week, you know, and then you have to wait for all those to come in. But the state seems to be chipping away at it. Every morning I'm like, where are we? Are we there yet? So, yeah.
Question. So I have the same kind of question, but so I'll make sure I'm understanding this. So the orange subgroups on LCAP goal 2, those are not, it's not for sure that they will be an orange subgroup because all the information isn't in it yet.
So that was our 2024 dashboard based on last year's scores, and it gets released in, it was released in December of 2024. So we're waiting November 15th, actually 14th, because the 15th is a Saturday. We'll have our dashboard results. Once I have all the scores in, then I can do my personal calculations and predict our dashboard, but we don't have that yet. Just because we don't have all the scores, and especially with our populations that are so small, like 1 or 2 kids can kind of throw the
The part
source.
that's weird about the state's LCAP cycle is that boards like you guys are required to adopt an LCAP based on the data that we have, which is old data.
Right.
And so a lot of school districts, if you watch their presentations, they're not even mentioning their current assessment data because they're too big of an organization to really even know. They're totally basing everything off 2024. We're small enough that we can kind of go, okay, I've got 96% of my LPAC data and I think this is what it's going to be. And we really use that to sort of calibrate, like, is there a big programmatic change that we need to make? And really what our data has been showing us so far is like, we're moving in the right direction. We might not be moving as fast as we want to be, but we're moving in the right direction. And so if anything, it's looking at, what we're currently doing and supercharging it a little bit and trying to be more focused about it.
Well, and I'm waiting and I'm trying to get to that 100%, because on Wednesday, we're meeting with all the principals and we have a kind of end of year admin retreat because we get to look at data. And so they're gonna be looking at their academy data. So like that's the work I've been doing, is getting that ready for them. And so I'm hoping to get as much of it ready. And so then they're gonna look at their individual academy data and start to pull that apart and see. So, but yes, we're the whole process is a little bit funky that I can present to you now, but I can't actually share the current data because it's not there yet. But hey, I have.
Come back in September, wow.
Yeah. Well, yeah, September I'll have CAST finalized and then December I'll have the new dashboard. Any other questions? Awesome, thank you.
Thank you. All right, now,
Action items. All right, so this is our annual request for the board of directors to approve the declaration of need for fully qualified teachers. So we, as Natomas Charter School, actively and diligently recruit fully credentialed teachers, but there are some times when we cannot find those fully and highly qualified teachers. So this is for us to be able to, allows us to hire somebody on an emergency or temporary permit in certain subject areas. So this is our best guess at the time. The areas that we were focusing on are ELA teachers, special ed teachers, science and math, as well as world language. I am happy to say that as of today, we only have 2 middle school teacher positions open that will be closing pretty soon. And we did have one at specialist, but it looks like we found a contracted worker for that. So we're doing good, but you never know throughout the year. That's why we need.
And I'd like everyone to take a moment and knock on the table. But part of why we have you guys approve this declaration is if someone were to resign in the middle of the summer and it's a tough position to fill, this declaration gives us that flexibility of being able to put someone in on a PIP or a STIP, which basically means they don't yet have a credential.
I think there's like a typo in there, but adopt a.
Yes, see right there, the cover sheet. The last sentence right there on the first paragraph.
Oh, yeah. It did the and quote.
Yeah, and quote.
First paragraph.
The first one, the last one. And then space between for and fully.
So with Pratik's typos corrected, we just need a motion to approve.
all right, may I have a motion to approve the declaration of need for fully qualified teachers?
I motion to approve.
I'll second. Thank you, roll call vote, Arsenio.
Aye.
Gina. Nita.
Yes.
Jennifer, I'm a yes. Dr. Marrero?
Yes.
Dr. Gappi?
Yes.
Sean?
Yes.
Vicky? Okay. All right, Anita, you have the floor again.
So another annual resolution for the certification of signatures for the upcoming school year of 25-26. This resolution we'll have on file official signatures of our board members as well as administrators who are authorized to sign on behalf of the school.
All right, may I have a motion to approve resolution 0609 2025.01 certification of signatures?
So moved.
Thank you, Dr. Murphy.
Second.
Okay, roll call vote, Arsenio,
Yes.
Gina, Edith. Yes. Jennifer, yes, Maria,
Yes.
Doug,
Yes.
Sean,
Yes.
Tracy. Okay. All right, now, the budget, and it's important that she's taking the budget. Yes, like,
We've all been waiting for it. And that happens. It's doing it again, Zena.
Oh, yeah, it's weird.
All right, so you can go to the next slide on here and stuff too. Okay, so for tonight, we are coming to you with our 25-26 adopted budget that we'd like you to approve. We have a lot to go over on here, but spoiler alert, overall, this is a great budget for Natomas Charter School in general here on this piece. But first, I want to start off with some of the themes of the state, California state budget on here. And then so looking at, if you go to the next slide here, from the state level, what happened on the May revise and how it changed from the governor's January proposal, and then how it affects the school on there. So the governor released his May revise around May 14th, and it's amid significant financial and economic uncertainties on there. So his May revise projects both lower revenues and increased costs in the healthcare area for the current year as well as outgoing year. So you may have heard that there is significant shortfalls in Medicare, the state Medicare piece as well. Also, he put a lot of significance on the emphasis on federal policies and how it's going to impact the California budget, foreign trade, tourism, and immigration. And then also to address the budget, he uses all kinds of combinations and shenanigans on borrowing, funding shifts, deferrals, and expenditures. And he's holding off on some expenditures to see if revenues do come in for the 25-26 year. But overall, Prop 98, which is the share of the education budget, when you compare it to January to the May revise, really wasn't impacted at that time. The only impact which he actually had in the January budget was that he is under appropriating money in the TK through 14 share of the state pie of about $1.3 billion on there. And he's just kind of holding back that money just to make sure that everything comes in okay. So some of the risks to the economy and stuff, looking at, during his presentation, he really made it a point to stress that California is the 4th largest economy in the world. And with that comes more vulnerability and also maybe some disproportionate exposure to some changes that might occur nationally, like the tariffs that are coming up and stuff. California continues to have slightly higher unemployment than the national average. We're projected right now to be at 5.3%. We're also predicting that California's gross domestic product is projected to increase. They say that consumer sentiment or confidence is down compared to what it was about a year ago, which affects our economy. Basically, you might hold off on buying that car and into a house if you're not too sure about what's going to happen on prices and stuff. Also, the January proposal was put together prior to the Southern California fires, I should say, which they extended tax filing requirements, and then also the change in the federal administration. So now the state is looking at their budget and how really with the federal administration change, as well as these state disasters are going to really impact the state budget. But like the rest of the state budget, conditions for Prop 98 and the education budget have changed since the January's proposal. So there's a couple of key factors. Prop 98, which is our minimum guarantee. When you look at the 3-year budget window that the state always looks at for their budget, it's down by $4.6 billion across that 3-year window period. To fund Prop 98, the governor's using $2.9 billion in one-time funds. So that's really one of those accounting tricks and no-nos that we're not supposed to be doing on there. It's also a carryover from 24-25, if you remember, he used about that same amount of money in the 24-25 year budget for that. Also, he's using $540 million in the education rainy day fund. So once he uses that money, which again is one-time money, there is no more reserves as of that year. He's continuing to keep the cash deferrals for June, where it's June dollars. We will not get them till July, which is just a 30-day window period, but he has made those kind of permanent so that that's basically it'll help us for 1 year and that's it. Overall though, for education, the good news is that there's no proposed cuts between January and the May revise, and they're not anticipating to be any when the governor signs the budget yet so far. So that's the good news for that part. Looking at our budget though, when we build the budget, we have to use our assumptions and list them out. So for the cost of living adjustment, for 25-26, it's projected at 2.43%. So that's not a change between January and May, but it was a decrease from what they were originally projecting. The 2 out years you can see are over 3% projection, and those are slightly up according to the state on that piece. I've also listed on there the grade span per pupil amounts for the local control funding formula. As you know, they are by grade level rates. You get a base rate. The kindergarten, or I should say TK through 3rd grade adjustment, there's an add-on for that. And then the career tech adjustment, there's also an add-on for that. And then our supplemental concentration grant rate. So if you go to the next assumption, I'll talk about that a little bit more. Our projected ADA for next year is 1778.4. We are projecting no growth in the out years to kind of remain flat. The average per pupil amount, and that's based on average daily attendance for next year, would be the 12,432 per pupil. And then you can see it increase based on the COLA. So I've also listed the dollar amount increase of how it affects Natomas Charter School. So for next year's budget, we are projecting to get about $397 more per ADA for each student. There. The CalSTRS rates remain at 19.10%, so there's really no increase year over year unless the state takes action. For CalPERS, next year we're projecting a 27.4% increase. That's a 0.35% increase, which is significantly lower than what they were originally projecting. And then you can see that the following year is a 0.10%, and then it jumps up to a whole percent in 27-28. What I want to call your attention to right here is the unduplicated pupil count percentage. So with our last charter renewal, we changed our priority points to give for free and reduced points. So for our local control funding formula, our average unduplicated pupil count, it's a 3-year average that folds into the LCFF in order to get our supplemental dollars. And so as we made that change to our charter, our increases or counts have gone up, as well as making the switch to using the alternative income form. So we have more parents turning in and filling out the forms. So we are now have broken that ceiling of the 40%. So you can see here, consistent about 42% in the out years, which is great. And I am happy to say that we are like the other charter schools in Natomas. So that was something that Natomas Unified Board had always asked us about. So I just wanted to share that.
And actually, in our last financial presentation we did like 2-3 weeks ago, this was the one comment that we actually got from the board was appreciation that we had done the work to make sure that demographically, we are more representative of the community than we used to be in the past.
Wow, very good. Yeah. Okay, so this is just a nice pretty picture of the average daily attendance by academy and grade level in your board packet. We're projecting a 95% average daily attendance rate on there. So in the next one. Okay, so financial highlights. What's in the budget? So we've included the 2.4% cost of living adjustment. We are including slightly increased enrollment based on when compared to this year's CBEDS. And that's really in the area of our non-classroom based programs, as well as PACT and ECA. Also, we're projecting a 1% increase, which the board has approved on all salary schedules, increasing the employer contribution for health and welfare rates, I should say. And then also funding step and column increases. So I have some numbers here, don't quote me off the top of my head, but the 1% is about $190,000 or so. For step and column, it's over $750,000. And then the health and welfare employer contributions based on who's participating today is about $318,000 on there, which would go up if more people jump on our plan that weren't previously participating. We've also included the increases for CalPERS. That was around $30,000 for us on there. And then some of the programs that we're doing. So continuing with our PBIS program and making sure that the academies have supply money for that. We've increased our professional development funds. Previously, or actually for several years, we set aside about $500 for all certificated staff for their choice of professional development. So we increased that to $600 or so in the budget because of, inflation basically and stuff too. There, we're continuing our expanded learning opportunity program before and after school tutoring opportunities and enrichment, and continuing with summer school. Off to the side over there, I also included our special ed contributions. So total expenses for the special education program is about $1.4 million. We get almost $2 million in revenue between federal and state. This is all the special ed programs. So we're contributing about 2.1 million. Jennifer, you have a puzzled look on it.
Yeah, it's 4.1 on the estimated expenditures, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you go to the next slide. Okay, also in the budget here, so position control changes. So we've had some shifts. Some of our salary and benefit increases are because we were able to hire some of our previously contracted positions with actual in-house staff. So that's good. So you'll see a savings in operations and more in there. So that's really wonderful. Also participating in the state facilities grant program, we have to make sure that we're spending at least 3% in our routine restricted maintenance account. So we have to certify that, and we are budgeting for that. For technology, it includes a backup cloud server, additional access points, computers for new staff, replacement laptops, and iPad replacements on there. We're continuing with the Mandarin program and continuing in that consortium as well. We've removed all the one-time money. So we really want to look at what our current expenditures as we close the books. Carryovers will be added on there. Capital outlay for general fund dollars, we've included the DSA approval dollars, especially to get the phase 2 plans DSA approved as well. And as of right now, we are debt free. So go to the next one. Okay, so as Laura is up here going over the LCAP and stuff, this is just a reminder that the 25-26 adopted budget reflects the school's ongoing commitment to academic excellence, fiscal responsibility, and equitable access to high quality education. So this budget is just a representation of the LCAP in numbers of the 4 goals that we have here. Got it done there? Okay. So here is a summary of the adopted budget. So the first column, this is what we're estimating 24-25 actuals budgets. We are projecting that there will be some underspending or fallout or restricted program carryover as we close the books. The middle column is the 25-26 projected budget, and then the variance column. So with the revenues, pretty much the 527,145 is really the cost of living adjustment and the slight enrollment increases there. And then we have some savings on the budget expenditure side because we pulled out all of those state one-time monies and a lot of capital outlay on there, more so to cover all of the salary increases that we did. So basically the net effect was showing a savings of the 1.6 million. So we are projecting that we will close with a surplus of $24,068. So we're not deficit spending at this time with a projected ending balance of 22.8 million. Let's see if I can go to the next slide. So this is our graph of our revenues on there, and again, 98% is strictly related to student attendance in one way or another. Go to the next slide. Our expenditure graph. So based on this budget, since we really don't have any capital outlay at this time in the budget, you can see that we salary benefits are about 80%, which is kind of the area that you want to be as far as the full budget goes. Expenditures by function. So this is broken out by the different areas that we spend our money on. You can see that we're spending over 62% in direct classroom instruction on there, which is really great. And then also MOU fees to the district right now is about 2%, but that amount is like $606,000 is pretty much what it's cost out for the 1% oversight and the 2% facility fees. See if you go to the next one. So for year-end projections, this is kind of like the original assumption slides that we just went over before, but this is the table that is included in the budget. And so we use those same dartboard numbers to project the two out years, 26, 27, and 27, 28. So those rates haven't changed. Go to the next slide. What we do look at is, I want to point out our average per pupil LCFF amount for 26, 27 is projected to be $12,799, and then the third year out, 27, 28, over $13,234. We're projecting the same enrollment in ADA and using the unduplicated count of the over 42%. For the multi-year projection, we always remove all the one-time revenues and expenditures. We include the step-in column increases. We also include consumer price index, inflationary estimates for supplies and services, and then also pension increases. So if you go to the next slide here. So for our reserves, our reserves are broken out into two different areas. Operational reserves, which is tied to our fiscal policy. On there, it's over 2%, or excuse me, 10% for economic uncertainties, which also includes cash, and then unrestricted or undesignated amounts. So of our total fund balance, 43% is in the area of operational expenses. Our goal in the fiscal policy is 35%, so doing good there. And then the program reserves, this makes up about 57%, and that's the areas where we set aside for facility reserves, technology replacements, special ed, unexpected costs, salary and benefits and pension costs to avoid any layoffs in the future, and then restricted programs. So in September, when we close the books and bring you the unaudited actuals, at that same time, we will be really focusing on these reserves and bringing a board resolution for you to commit those program reserves in the budget and stuff. And that's a way that the district is seeing that we're really committed to saving money for our facility projects. So, next one. So the bottom line right here is we're considered a positive certification in the district world if we have positive cash and fund balance. So for 25-26, we're estimating to close with a fund balance of 22.8. That's about 83% of our total expenditures. And then you can see the two out years there, as well as positive cash every month. And the other thing I wanted to point out to you what's the difference between, fund balance and cash. So you'll see that our cash balances are run about 90 to 93% of our fund balance. That's a good thing because that means that this is a real fund balance. It's pretty much in the bank. No one really owes us a lot and we don't really owe anybody. So that's a good thing to know if those numbers are really close. That means the cash is really in the bank. Okay, next slide. Okay, so tonight we're asking you to approve the 25-26 adopted budget. And just as a reminder, that includes the 1% increase of all the salary schedules. It increases the employer contribution rates for health and welfare. It is aligned to the LCAP, which you heard had the public hearing tonight, and you'll be approving on Wednesday. Next slide. And then our next steps. So we are anticipating that between now and the end of June, there's going to be a lengthy budget trailer bill that comes out with all of the to-dos and prohibitions of what we can do in this next year's budget. But we're also fairly confident and hopeful that there is some new one-time money or discretionary money that is coming our way as well. And so we're developing a plan if it does materialize, that's what we can use that money for. When the state does approve their budget, we will be working over the summer to reflect any major changes on that. And we'll keep monitoring inflation and economic conditions. And then the next budget report that you'll get is our actual financials, the unaudited actuals that will be presented to you in September. Okay.
Questions? I have one.
Sure.
The PD budget. We went from 500 to 600.
Yes.
How realistic is 600 even?
More realistic than 500. I would say
20%.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say, we don't, that's the rule of thumb that we use with everyone. If someone comes to us and says, I have this really amazing thing at $750, we try to make that happen.
Okay, cool.
So, it is kind of one large pot of money and some people use it, some people don't use it. And so in the years that, we have, if you will, a little bit of extra in there, we try to support everyone and really getting what they need. Now, if someone comes to us and said, I have a $10,000 conference, we're probably not gonna do that. But we try to sort of meet everyone where they're at, but kind of give them that $600 amount to start with.
Okay.
We're also doing some things where we're trying to bring professional development on campus. So there's a instructional approach called EduProtocols, and they were looking for a place to host a conference in Northern California. So we said, hey, guess what? We have a facility. Can we do that and have things free for our staff? And actually it reminds me, I forgot to tell Garrett that we also will get a 1-year subscription to their online service as part of being a hosting site, which I know he was very excited about. So we're trying to do some things like that too, because by giving them the site for free, we get some free registrations, and so looking for different ways to do that.
And also, so program managers and department or principals and stuff, they also have their own budgets that they set aside money for their departments as well. So you can kind of blend those together or more expensive.
Okay, great, thank you.
The one little piece I just wanted to point out that I just want to make sure the board kind of heard and understood is, when you look at our budget, it looks like we have a really large fund balance or really large reserves, if you will, right? Of the 22-ish million that's there, as Anita's projecting almost $9 million set aside for our facilities project. So, on the surface, it seems like, wow, they've got a lot of money. Well, yes, we are saving money up for facilities projects. And I think that's just something important for the board and the public to kind of always keep in mind. I know Anita's goal is to get that number up to 10, if not 15 million by the time.
I don't want any debt.
She wants to know. So 10 to 15 million by the time we start this Black Rock project potentially. We have also are in the process of reapplying for the TK buildings at Star Academy. And so if we get that grant, that's a $6 to $8 million project, and the grant would fund 50% of it. So we'd have to come up with another 3 to 4 million. So, we are trying to put a lot of money into facilities, which means that we need to have a lot of money in our fund balance or our reserves in order to be able to support that. It also does help us earn some interest, so we get a little bit of income that way in the meantime. But we're trying to put a lot of money in facilities, and then the other part that Anita talked about is you guys approved a 1% additional compensation for everyone. along with increasing the employer health and welfare benefit contributions, plus step and column. All of that together is about an additional $1 million that we're spending on salary and benefits than we were a year ago, right? So, you know, it's important to just kind of note that, you know, even though we're trying to squirrel away a lot of money for facilities, we're also continuing to make investments in employee compensation. And sometimes people forget about step and column, but step and column is a raise that's built into the salary schedule every year. And so, you know, this year, I think what you said, it was about 700,000 for step and column? Yeah.
Yes, about 700.
And then it was about almost 200,000 for the 1%.
Yes.
And then how much, another 300,000?
318 or so
Yeah.
for the health and welfare.
So over $1 million.
Almost $1.3 million.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then some people get portfolio jumps or extra jumps on that. We're not counting that yet.
Joe, on the facilities, does this budget does the budget contemplate any potential construction increase, or how are we dealing?
So the grant program that we've applied for basically has that built into the amount of money that they're going to allocate to us. They have an inflation factor that's built in. So hypothetically, let's say when we applied for the grant, they said we would give you $10 million for this project. Now that we're 3 or 4 years in, that might be more like $15 million for that particular part of the project. So it is built into the grant, but it is kind of a real thing that we're also trying to navigate. We're not at the place yet where we can go out to bid, so we don't actually know numbers. But the groups that we're working with are obviously working with other schools, right? And they're seeing, you know, 10 to 20% increases over what was originally proposed. But like I said, fortunately, this grant that we're a part of has that inflation factor built into it. So at least, if you will, 50% of the inflation will be covered by that grant. The other 50% is covered by, you know, the cash that we have on hand. So it's why, you know, I keep saying 10 and you keep saying 15. But, you know, we're trying to put as much money away as we possibly can, because that's also going to be sort of a real reality that we're having to face. Yeah.
That's a great question.
All right, I think I have a job to do here. May I have a motion to approve the 2025-2026 budgets?
I second.
All right, good answer. Sean? Doug?
Yes.
Maria?
Yes.
Jennifer? Yes. Yes. Gina? Yes. Arsenio?
Yes.
Okay. Dr. Wood, enrollment.
All right, yeah, so a quick little enrollment update. This is our monthly enrollment report. This is as of May 30th. As you know, Anita was just sharing in her presentation, enrollment drives funding, right? The two are very interconnected. We're although also at that point in the year where we're not adding kids because it's the very end of the school year. But basically, you know, compared to April, enrollment remained stable as we went into May. And it's looking pretty strong as we come into next school year as well. We have a really healthy waiting list. This year, the team kind of changed their registration process a little bit, and we basically, long story short, we made families commit earlier. So we should have less transition over the summer, aside from people, you know, who suddenly had to relocate and we didn't realize it. So that's looking pretty solid, and we're already, you know, starting to talk about next year's application season and getting ready for that. Tis the stuff. Enrollment report. Any questions about enrollment? Thank you.
All right, PFAA presentation.
All right. So this year, our theme, as you know, was Voices in Harmony. And so we're going to kind of go through some of the achievements and some of the goals that we set for the following year. But we always start off by looking at some of the what happened in the community and also some of the pieces of the parts. So you can see that community was really the focus. So when we talk about Voices in Harmony, really one of the big for us was making sure that we had more participation in events. You can see some events that were put on for the students, like Taste of the World, or like the winter performance. That there seems to be a performance every single day on campus, and from our music team especially. And this was the winter one. Go ahead, keep going. We've got different clubs on campus. So this one was they actually created, the Ecology Club. We created a sustainable garden. We had our walk for Ruby Bridges, which I'm like really proud to say has become now part of the calendar at NCS, which is great. So next year, if anyone wants to join us on November 14th, that'll be doing, and we always do the walk together. And then we had some wonderful fundraising nights, things like roller skate night, which was attended by actually leading edge parents, star parents as well. That was a lot of fun. I want to give a huge shout out this year for P4A. So for our parent group, who was led by the president, Linda Finkers, they really did revive the spirit of that parent group for PFAA, and you can see a whole host of activities and nights that they did, which were all well attended, from talent shows, bingo nights. I had some 11th graders actually told me last week, and I quote, that the carnival was low-key the best night of the year. And so, but all of them were super successful, and it really couldn't have happened without the passion of the parents. So you can see what I love about the arts and academics at our school is this was actually the final in the for a dance class where they actually expressed alphabetic letters, believe it or not. But they had to do different pieces. We had a wonderful, I know some of you came to Hairspray, so Hairspray was just joyous. I don't think there's a better word than just joyous. You want to keep going? I'm going to pull this out because I don't want to, I've got the music thing coming up and I took a photo of something to say. We've got, I was really proud of the visual arts team this year because often they're very quiet in the pieces they do. But this year they really did push the exhibits that were on campus. And the students that are in that department really want to find their voice and have a different identity. And they did a lot of pieces this year, which was great to see, including this one. Well, hang on a second. We've got some of these paintings were actually taken to the Crocker. You can see this is actually, we walked in, and we had to have, this was my photograph, because I was like, whoa, there was a doppelganger painted of the student on the back. And this is just an incredible photo. And then next to this, and this is what I wanted to read out because I didn't want to miss it. So the music department here went to the festival over at Six Flags that we do every single year. And they caused a true brouhaha last month when they brought 5 groups, and every single one of them earned first place in their divisions. So that is combined symphony, orchestra, string orchestra, vocal workshop, concert band, and AM jazz band. Every single one of them got first place in that piece. And we've got multiple, so the combined symphony orchestra earned a superior rating, the string orchestra superior, vocal workshop high superior, concert band excellent, AM jazz band excellent, and they also won the overall best high school choir in the area. So it's a Northern California piece. So I just wanted to give them all a shout out because they do so much work, and it's nice to kind of be able to celebrate them. So then we want to talk about some accomplishments. What we did, how I've designed these slides, is the top part in italics was what we said we were going to do, and then I'm going to kind of talk about some of the results of what we said we were going to do. So for math, we talked about increasing support, including we piloted a middle school and high school math intervention class. We also piloted an alternate pathway, Math 1A, for students who are coming into high school and need that extra, just that little bit of support. We have co-teaching in all levels, meaning there's an education specialist in every grade level with a math teacher. There's an option for students who might need that extra support as well. And we also paired with Sacramento State. I'm super excited by the Math Buddies program. And we had multiple students who are finishing up their math degrees come and work as students. Next year, we actually have a couple of math teachers who I'm excited to say are having babies. But for us, it means that those math teachers won't be on campus for a while. But we were fortunate enough, I'm actually meeting with them on Friday, to one of these Math Buddies is going to come as a substitute teacher to take over from them. So it was a great partnership for us, and we're looking forward to that continuing. We also did a ton. We actually, for the first time, had a rigorous system of after-school tutoring, which was new for us this year, and we also had tutoring during the day. So in win times, not just by the teachers, but we had multiple students, and Joaquin was one of them. So, but who actually led the charge in supporting one another, which was great to see. So we did get a lot done. And I do want to mention the year-long book study. So I think Laura spoke to that a little bit earlier, but that was done in our math team when they did follow building thinking classrooms. And what we are going to do next year for a board meeting is we're going to invite you guys to experience the building thinking classrooms as well with the TOSIX. I think it's a great thing to see. So we don't have the CAS, as Laura mentioned, we don't have the official CAS scores, because that's what we'd be presenting right now, right? So it's almost like we should be doing this presentation in September. The official kind of scores, we have iReady scores, but in PFAA, we do iReady at the beginning of the year and halfway through the year. There was consistent growth at that point. But like I said, we'll come back when we put the actual data with the CAS pieces to kind of present to the board. And then for next steps, we are expanding the intervention classes. We are keeping the one at 8th grade. We've got a high school one. We're also pushing it into 7th grade as well. So there's multiple options at middle school level now because that is the focus. We have got these data-driven team discussions on CAS. So we've created a new timeline on how we do CAS scores, not just preparing for the test itself, but also how teachers are digesting and reflecting on the scores themselves. We're continue implementing CPM and we're drilling down on BTC. So all of these acronyms, so again, CPM is the curriculum we use, BTC, Building Thinking Classrooms, which is a fantastic instructional strategy piece. And then continuing the tutoring and co-teaching. I already have 2 tutors signed up for next year. And so we are continuing with all of those pieces that have been providing support throughout the year for our students. The second accomplishment, so the second goal was around literacy. And what we did was we piloted last year a targeted intervention class for literacy. So instead of, we actually removed an intervention class that was more geared towards like homework help, and we targeted towards students who were struggling with their reading. So we called it ALLY, that's Academic Language and Literacy Enrichment class. And it was an overwhelming success. Every single student in that class passed all of their ELA classes, so that's a C or above. Every single student in that class showed growth in, not everything, it was 95% of students in that class showed growth in their iReady scores as well. So we saw some really true good growth through that, and the teacher that took that on and also that worked with the TOSA, Alyssa, they are going to continue in that role next year as well. We did PD, so we had science of reading with the entire PFA staff had PD with the literacy TOSA on the science of reading. It led to a bunch of PDSA cycles actually done by the ELA department. And even though we did lose an education specialist halfway through the year, we were able to have co-teaching at high school level in all of those English classes as well. So we put a lot of supports in. I wanted to show just this picture. What made me happy at the end of the school year was the students that came out of, this was the photograph of the high school ALA class, right? So the literacy support class. And why was because at the beginning of the school year, there was this thought of, this is the class for students who are struggling, right? So throughout the year, they formed this community and they formed this kind of bond within the class and with the teacher. And they wanted to go to that class. We didn't have anybody transfer out of it. We didn't have anybody complaining at the end of the school year that they had this intervention class on their schedule. They enjoyed it and they felt success. And so I just wanted to make sure that I showed this photo. They actually took all of these students went to Star Academy in the last 2 weeks and did a reading group with students in 4th grade. And that was part of their final piece. What we looked for was success, but not just success as grades, right? It's that I can do that we wanted to hear, and that's what they felt at the end of it. So a huge shout out to the teacher. So that's Mrs. Sharp. And then again, we have iReady scores. We don't have the CAS scores yet. We'll present them when we have. They grew significantly throughout from the beginning of the year to the mid-year. But again, the data point that we're looking for is that CAS piece that we'll get to as soon as possible. And then next steps. So we have a designated ELD teacher coming to BlackRock. So the teacher is a teacher at Star right now, but they'll be coming over and working with small groups of EL students, English language students, multilingual students at BlackRock. We're going to continue all of the intervention classes. We saw that success, but this time, and we are going to continue with the PD. We're providing that teacher who is growing that class and growing that program. Co-teaching is continuing, collaborative work with TOSAs, and we are forming a literacy community of practice, meaning a group of teachers who are volunteering to step up and look at literacy across disciplines at PFAA. And so this is a volunteer thing, but we've already got 6 teachers who are excited to kind of step into this role. And so that's something we'll be building next year as well. So
For our LCAP in the West Area 3, school culture and improving school attendance, we wanted to implement a PBIS program. Of course, that is a school-wide initiative, but that we took on as well. Implement a positive attendance program, provide staff training regarding various subgroups of our student population, implement a new SEL curriculum, have parent universities and coffee with the principals on various topics. And we did do all of that, and we had a strong start to our PBIS implementation. I'm going to talk about that in just a second. We had a semesterly attendance recognition program, so students with positive 98, right? Percent or more attendance received recognition. The flip side of that is we also followed up with families when students reached the 10-day absence mark, and then the SART meeting with Mrs. Lurson. Our DEI members, our staff members, PFA staff members who are part of the NCS DEI meeting provided PD on DEI, and then Mrs. Kaler and Mrs. Donato also provided PE on students with disabilities. We used Wayfinder for our pre and post surveys to make sure that figuring out where students are at regarding their social emotional well-being, and then the weekly SEL lesson given on Tuesday during advisory were also through Wayfinder. Parent use, we get several on math, on mental health awareness, AI, assessment, college and career, so a wide variety of topics here. And then also monthly coffee with the principal on math, literacy, and AI. So a bunch of things here hitting all the marks on all of our key people, whether it's staff, students, or families. Now PBIS. So we have a great poster here. So you should know, I'm sure now, ROC, responsibility, ownership, collaboration, and kindness. Our matrix for all of this campus. We also used the UROC tickets. They were the sugar on top of the cereal bowl. They're just gonna get palatable. And so we gave out, staff gave out almost 4,000 tickets to 686 individual students out of our student body. That averages out to 5.24 tickets per student across the year. And so that means that 91% of the PFA student body got at least one UROC ticket throughout the year. For high school, just looking at high school, 78% of the student body got recognition, whereas for middle school, we see almost 100%, almost there. So we do see a difference here. Research has shown that implementation of PBIS is harder at the high school level. Older teenagers are tougher nut to crack. But we're doing, it's a number we need to work on, but it's a good, strong beginning, and this tier 2 and refining our practices for high school are part of our next steps. For attendance, 74.6% of the student body had 95% and above attendance. And looking at the 98% and above, we are a third of our student body. We had 137 students reach the 10-day mark of absence. And we have made, actually, that was a couple of weeks ago, so it's closer to 125 contact to the families directly to see what's going on and try to troubleshoot and help provide support. Of those 139, 50% continue to have more absences, but also 50% did not and stopped. Of those 69, only 22 went to the 15 days absence. So we're it did help a little bit, but still. 22 START meetings were held. 2 students decided to transfer out. 2 were involuntarily disenrolled, but the 18 students who remained improved their attendance after the START meeting. So for our goal for next year, like I mentioned, we want to move on to tier 2 for our PBIS implementation, especially for the middle school, but again, refining and strengthening our practices for high school because we see that they're not quite there yet, and so we're going to juggle the 2. We want to include family and student representatives in our PBIS teams to get their perspectives on our initiative, and then introduce attendance and tardy campaigns per semester. So 1 attendance and 1 tardy campaign in the fall, and then the same again in the spring to really show our community that we do mean it. We want them here for a variety of reasons, but first we want the students to get access to their education. For our area 4, human resources, attract and retain highly qualified staff. This is part of our school-wide LCAP and WASC goals, and we're very, very happy to report that 100% of our staff is coming back this year, and so we're very happy about that. We have a great team, so that's really good. So our next step for next year is to for Garrett and I to be more visible and bring more support to our staff, to present a differentiated PD model, to make sure that they get what they want, what they need, and not burn out, right? To make sure that their practice is supported, and continue to be happy here at PFA. Same thing with our streamlined systems. We have a lot of things happening, a lot of plates turning. We want to make sure to maybe combine what we can in the same places, so that we can hit one thing will hit different initiatives at the same time. Again, help with burnout and keep our staff happy and keep them going.
So yeah, just to end with that then, I do want to also say that the 3 things Elsa just presented were actually feedback from the staff. So we did survey all the staff, and that's what they said. They wanted more visibility, and they wanted more streamlining and more differentiated PD. This was across the years. Next year, we're going to be focusing on engage, create, and achieve. We kept it simple with 3 keywords, but this really came from, actually this year, one of the successful things we started was we did some learning walks. So what the learning walk is essentially is it's when a group of teachers go around all the different classrooms, or in this case, we went around about 50% of the different classrooms, and observe and kind of go together and then digest and look at problems and practices and develop them through those observations. This is something that next year we're going to have every single teacher involved in, and every single teacher will be going into all the classrooms in a very structured way. But the problem of practice that came out of this was student engagement. Was the question of like, how are people really engaging? What does that look like to be engaged in a classroom at PFA? So this is where this came from. And then of course at PFA, we couldn't have a statement like this without having the word create in it. But ultimately the department heads that were involved in creating this theme kind of said, these are the steps to achieve it, right? We want students to engage. We want adults to engage. We want it to be creative in that sense of the importance of innovation and artistry and student agency. And then what does achieve mean? And maybe shifting the expectation of that word to broaden it to becoming success, including personal growth, as well as academic achievement, and then obviously preparation for college careers and creative pathways. So that's where we're heading next year. And the focus was going to be really on instructional practices and instructional strategies to get us to these spaces. Thank you very much. Any questions? Questions? All right. Thank you, Bob.
Great, thank you.
Okay, next up, hearing of the public for items not on the agenda.
Nothing received with me and online.
Hearing of the public for items on the agenda.
Nothing received with me and no one online.
Okay. It's like it's June. Executive director comments.
Just real quick, today's first day of summer break. That does not mean that the work stops though here around Natomas Charter School. It means that we shift. So summer school actually starts tomorrow for elementary and high school students. And then at the end of the summer, Gareth is leading some 6th and 9th grade boost programs. Also, one of the things that's kind of exciting is at SCAPE, we actually have a bunch of high school students that are actually working this summer. And a really great group of kids that have actually signed on to join our SCAPE program and kind of, with Anita and Diana and Carolyn's leadership, kind of building out our student worker program, which is actually pretty exciting. I did mention, summer's not a quiet time around here, it's a very busy time. So first thing is the admin building's already been gutted because we're gonna be repainting and the painter's already started today. Gym floor is getting replaced, we have IT projects going on, we're getting a new intercom system, and then just the overall deep cleaning. And then the other thing I just wanna make sure that the board is aware of, especially if you are community members that have to commute to our school, is when you return to campus in August, Del Paso Road will be closed westbound. And so it's going to change our commute patterns a little bit. So with I see the puzzle looks on Jen's face. So with the 1,300 homes going in behind us, they have to do major upgrades to Del Paso. So we've been informed by the contractor that basically from about June 15th to October 1st, westbound Del Paso Road between National Drive and the back parking lot is actually going to be closed while they make all the road improvements. So Petra and Francisco are going to be working with Stephanie and Gareth on just, kind of the drop-off flow here on this campus. But if you are a parent who drives to this campus, I would give yourself some extra time in the months of October, or August, September, and into the beginning of October. Or drop off by Gina's house and have your kids. I'm feeling that's gonna be
Walking school bus
a little
from our house.
quieter. Walking school bus from Gina's house. But so we're gonna be working on those pieces. It'll be a little painful, but it'll actually be all for the good once it's done. The road will be vastly improved, and it also is gonna lead to 1,300 homes behind us and potentially a bunch of new families. The last little thing is, don't forget, we have one more board meeting this week on Wednesday evening. It will be a short board meeting. It's just to approve the LCAP. But we look forward to seeing you all there.
All right. To comment on drop-off, please be nice, everyone, parents. It's stressful in the morning, I get it, it's a big deal, but please be nice to each other and to our staff, especially with roads closed.
You know what's great? If you just come 5 to 10 minutes early, you miss all the traffic. There's a little
So I understand that. I also know how I'm wired, and there's probably a lot of other people who are wired that way too. I'm just acknowledging it's
So maybe
stressful.
we should tell everyone that school starts about 15 minutes earlier.
School
than
starts
it
at 8
actually
o'clock
starts
every
next
day.
year.
I think
Yeah.
my children tried that with me, it's so short. All right, board of director comments. Anyone?
Well, I just wanted to say a big thank you. My son graduated. And it was thrilling for me to not only, be a proud mom of a senior who graduated, but thinking about the fact that my mother never went to school in South Texas, never had a time in a classroom, and within one generation to not only have a son who graduated from high school, but for me to be on the school board, to be on stage. It just, that's all I kept thinking about during that graduation. And again, received so many wonderful comments from friends and family who came to our graduation for the first time, and how beautiful, how entertaining, how just, the comments were, God, the students and the teachers, and everyone's very united. That was what people kept saying. It's such a cohesive, tight group. And I'm just so proud to be on the board, and thank you for all you did for my son, pushing the thing for math and wanting to take extra math classes over the summer and such. So I just want to thank you and everyone here for all your good work. As a parent, I'm just so touched and honored and grateful. So thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, I'll second all of Maria's comments about graduation. It was fantastic. Class of 25 seems to be a wonderful group, and you saw that spirit there last Friday night. So thank you, and thank you to everyone who was involved. I know it's a big production, I know it's a big production to wrangle really excited kids downstairs, so thank you to whomever did that. Congratulations on another completed school year.
Yay!
Yay. Thank you to all of our staff, and I don't know how you do it sometimes, but you all do, so thank you very much. Congrats to all of our students, retirees.
Yes.
Even though you're throwing off our data, thank you for all of your service and good luck in your retirements. And I think that's it. With that, if nobody objects, future board agenda items, we're gonna come back Wednesday for
We're
that.
back on Wednesday for that, adopt the LCAP.
Okay,
And on that note, board, please just leave your name plates the way they are, leave your cushions the way that they are. We're not removing anything tonight, and don't leave because I need you to sign a resolution.